to Chief Joe's Art Stuff. My name is Julie, and I'm here to impart some knowledge to you today via a 2-minute art tip. And today we have a very special guest. We have Andrew from MacPherson's, and he's going to talk to us a good bit about all of the cool stuff with Sennelier Watercolor. So he is the man with all the knowledge, so we're going to let him take it over and enlighten us. So take it away.
Thank you, Julie.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. I appreciate that. So today we've got a couple of the Sennelier watercolors to play with. But first I wanted to talk just a little bit about why Sennelier watercolor is so special. Sennelier started making paint in the early 1880s, and it really began with watercolor as one of the first mediums they were creating. They were at the time working very closely with the French Impressionists. So the palette they created, which exists today, was very Impressionist inspired. So a lot of bright, vivid colors that work well in nature. So we have some really unique colors within that range. But the composition is one of the really exciting special things about it. So Sennelier watercolor is, of course, pure pigments from all over the world. They're sourced from everywhere, have been for over 130 years. But they are made using two components. The first is gum arabic, which many of us know is the staple ingredient in watercolor. It's what makes it dissolve so nicely. And gum arabic that we use comes from acacia trees in Sudan. And we also use a little bit of honey in there. And the honey comes from 16 hives at the Sennelier factory in France. And those,
That's so cool.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And those 16 hives produce enough honey to add to the watercolor. Now, we get the question, why would we want to add honey to watercolor? The first reason, and the most traditional reason, because it was a very early ingredient in the first watercolors, is that it is a natural preservative. Mm-hmm. So it will keep your paint fresh. If you have a wet palette, you won't see any mold or mildew growing in there.
Right.
And we don't have to add chemicals to prevent that. We can just use the honey.
The natural antimicrobial.
Exactly.
So. Mm-hmm.
The other really important thing is that it's hygroscopic, which means that it absorbs moisture from the atmosphere. So if we have our paint on a palette and we let it sit for a week and it's rock hard when we come back, we can take our brush and we can just touch it to a dry spot on our palette, and we can immediately lift color. It just lifts right out of there because of that honey. We never have to scrub at a pan. We never have to scrub at a dry palette. Just easy as pie. And the third thing is that it has a different look. The addition of honey gives it more of a satin finish. We call it kind of a French satin. And it makes the color look really vibrant on the paper surface. So with that, I think we should play with a few of the really unique colors within the Sennelier line that we brought with us today. Do you have a favorite you want to start with?
I want to show brown pink because it's just, you have to explain it.
All right.
It's just a very unusual color.
I'll do a little brown pink as you do a little brown pink.
Okay.
So brown pink, you may see that it is neither brown nor pink, but it's actually a historical color, one of the favorites of John Singer Sargent, and it was a color that was derived from natural earth. So it could have come from sap or leaves or berries or any of that stuff. And there was a process for making a sap or a fluid into a pigment, a mineral pigment or a granular pigment that we could grind into paint. And that process is called lake. So you'll often see alizarin lake, carmine lake, because those things were bugs or sap that we crushed into juice. Now with brown pink, pink was not originally a pink like this. Pink was actually a part of the process of the lake process. So it actually means an earth color that has gone through that process. So it's a little bit more nerdy than it sounds. And it does not look at all like we would think as a modern pink.
No, but it's an important thing for watercolors to know when they're reading tubes that's an indicator of the genesis of that pigment, that it started likely as a liquid format, like a dye base something, and infused onto a dry substance to
Exactly.
make the pigment.
And like a lot of modern colors, it's changed over the years. It's using modern pigments now to get that color because we want it to be in its most light, fast form. We want it to last forever. And as we know, a lot of things that derived from bugs or sap or flowers just didn't stand up to the test of time.
No, that's the thing. A lot of naturally derived pigment is brilliant and beautiful, but not as light fast. So there's a lot of different techniques that they can use to kind of manipulate that, but it kind of comes down to it is what it is.
Yes. Now, I have to tell you, this color is a surprising favorite. So this is Sennelier's Chinese orange, which is actually our most popular color in the United States.
Interesting.
It's our #1 watercolor color. And it was a favorite color of Matisse. But he wasn't using it in his watercolor at the time. It just has kind of turned into all these various mediums. But Chinese orange is a beautiful mixer. It's surprising that you can mix Chinese orange with virtually any blue and get a grade of greens and grays and earth tones. You can almost use Chinese orange as a yellow or a red. It's just a really fascinating color. So I like to play with that one because it's something that's unique and everybody should have on their palette.
Let's play that up.
And then I'll talk about one last color before I let you go, and that is this Caput Mortum. And Caput Mortum is a synthetic iron oxide pigment now. So it's a laboratory-derived rust, basically, to manufacture this color over and over again with consistency. But it matches the historical color of mummy brown. Mm-hmm. And mummy brown came from actual mummies. They would take pieces of them, break a finger off, and grind it into paint. And they created a really beautiful earth tone color because of the embalming process and the chemicals and the resins used in that. They essentially turned into a lovely people rust. And now we've been able to synthesize that in a real rust. We don't have to use people anymore. No mummies were harmed in the making of this color. But it's just such a lovely color, and it's one of the most opaque watercolor colors we have at Sennelier. But it's fantastic. You can use it in a heavy concentration and get almost this dark brown, purpley, plummy color, or you can really thin it out and get down to this, I want to say almost like a potter's pink, earthy pinky mauve color.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting that people, when they really get into watercolor and the history, they start to, deep dive and want to try some of the historical, like antique colors, like mummy. Although nobody wants a dead guy on their palette, really. But
no.
Yeah. Interestingly, I found out that the reason that color went out of favor wasn't because it wasn't viable and people didn't love it. It's just that they were completely grossed out when they found out what it really was. And it became like very unfashionable to have it on your palette and in your studio anymore, and no matter how wonderful it was. So I just think it's interesting that, there's different synthesized versions of it now, and this one's just brilliant. It's just beautiful.
Well, with that, I don't want to keep people too long.
So stay tuned, more to come, and thanks for watching, and hope that you enjoy.